Hello, and welcome back to Surfing Adversity with Antaeus. I am your host, Antaeus Del Sinos, and for Episode 3 of Surfing Adversity, I'm going to talk to you about how to move forward in life and establish a mindset which can help you with overcoming loss. There are many kinds of loss with which we are faced during the course of our life. The loss of a relationship, the loss of a job, the loss of our home or our way of life, even the loss of our own sense of value or purpose. And many of these losses can be reevaluated and seen in a new light with a change in our own mindset, as I discussed in the last few episodes of Surfing Adversity. However, none of these losses are punctuated with the exclamation mark of permanency like the loss of a loved one, and so that will be our focus here today. But before I get started, I want to clarify that the loss of a loved one is not limited to a family member or close friend, but it includes any being with whom we share a deep connection. The loss of an animal friend, for example, can feel like an overwhelming loss. The connection we establish based solely on feelings, rather than relying so much on verbal communication, can create a special bond, the loss of which can also feel terribly devastating. In my latest book, Happy Now and Always, I wrote a chapter called The Condolence Letter, in which I examined many spiritual and scientific principles, and how those principles related to death and the perpetuation of our divine energy, or our essence. Everything we know to exist in our physical universe is made up of energy. In fact, seemingly solid objects are comprised mostly of empty space, which would be more accurately described as energy. It is the power or energy of the empty space in an atom which controls the movements and interactions of the protons, neutrons, and electrons, which in turn creates order, facilitating the assembly of physical matter as we know it. The energy, found in the empty space, is the real foundation for physical existence. Even our own physical body, on an atomic level, is made up of more than 99% empty space, or energy, so our physical body could be viewed as merely a vessel for our divine energy. We also know from science that energy is a continuing force, which can neither be created nor destroyed. Energy can only be transformed from one form to another form, or transferred from one system to another system. In other words, energy cannot die, get used up, or disappear. Energy can merely change or transfer from one form to another. So the question from a scientific standpoint should only be, what do we become after death? What we understand as death is not the end of our divine energy. Our energy cannot simply be extinguished or die out. Now, I know this doesn't really change the reality that those who have passed are no longer physically here with us, but I think recognizing our divine energy or essence can help shift our grief away from feeling sad for the person we lost. We still feel an emptiness for not having them around. Our future hopes and expectations surrounding them have been destroyed, and truly our lives have been diminished due to the loss. But we can try to deal with that grief without adding the pain of feeling they are lost forever, or digging ourselves deeper by wishing things were different. If we can focus on moving forward and finding peace with life as it is, which I know is a big enough challenge, instead of adding the weight of feeling sad for them and what we think life could have been or should be, then we do ourselves and our departed loved ones a big favor. We do not want the negative energy of our grief to anchor them to our reality, and they do not want this grief to continue for us. Energy has a relentless and insatiable desire for creation, to sculpt itself into the form of life. However, everything with a physical form also has a life cycle, and while the physical form itself will eventually die off and cease to exist, the expression of life will eternally remain as a part of the oneness of being, in the realm of knowledge, experience, memory, and thought. Essence, which is our connection to energy, the oneness of being, the source, God, or whatever you want to call it, is accessible to us in life, but it is overshadowed by the ego mind. Our ego mind is our false sense of self that fabricates our conceptual reality, which is the distinction separating us from others, and also separating us from the oneness of being. Suffering in life is the result of our ego mind solely identifying ourselves with our physical form, and in so doing, the ego mind restricts our accessibility to the wisdom of life, which is available through our essence. Essence provides us with the grace to understand death as it is, rather than to see death through the suffering of the ego mind. Only the ego mind, with its obsessively biased focus that physical reality, or our own conceptual reality, is the cornerstone of our existence, along with the emotions and outlooks of attachment, desire, and judgment, can make death into a purely negative or even evil event, without even knowing what lies beyond what we see to be the death of the physical body. Still, we can offset the ego mind's attachment, desire, and judgment with the higher emotions and outlooks of acceptance, gratitude, and faith, or trust. Acceptance that we do not know or cannot see the whole picture, and therefore we cannot effectively judge something when we don't know the whole story. Gratitude that we had those whom we lost in our life in the first place, and faith or trust in the wisdom of life to have a plan for our greater good, because we are all part of the oneness of being, and our energy or essence will be expressed in a new form, system, or state of existence. Regardless of our own personal beliefs or the beliefs of the loved ones we have lost, our divine energy cannot be denied simply because we did not understand it, believe it, or accept it during our lifetime. Whether we realize, understand, and accept it or not, we are each at one with the universe, or God. The stillness or openness of our energy or essence, the oneness from which we originate, is the same oneness from which the physical universe was manifested, and for the same reason, out of a desire for expression and creation. In that way, a person, a tree, a plant, an animal, a bird, a fish, an insect, any life form, are all equally valid expressions of the same divinity, the same one, the same God. Even that which we consider as non-life forms, the sun, the moon, the stars, the earth, the other planets, the rocks, the sand, the water, even the air we breathe, as well as the universe itself. These are all creations of the same one, the same energy source that brought us each into being. We are all merely different expressions of the same one, parallel manifestations of the same energy source, or God. I am simply a different version of you, just as you are a different version of me. Eventually, we will all find our way back to the same home. Well, that's all for today. Please feel free to contact me through my website, peacefulhappy.life, if you are struggling, or even if you are not. None of us need to go through this alone. Until we meet again, have faith and enjoy the whole journey while surfing the adversity. Bye for now.